Oxygen Not Included is a nice excuse to see if my science degree can be put to good use. It's a great exercise in why we need each other, because when each of us gets put in charge of our own alien ant farm, it doesn't take long for things to start falling apart at the seams. We definitely sit down under the notion that we'd only play for an hour or two, but then look at the clock and realize we've been chugging away at it for 6 hours.
How long have we been sitting here?
I gotta draw a new battery.
At face value, I wouldn't think a space colony sim would do this to me, but this is the first sim that lets me build out the plumbing of the world's perfect bathroom.
It's working!
They're so cute! Although this is another date night that we play separately but together, it became clear that both of us were completely hopeless working alone. My boyfriend would run into the issue of expanding his base so quickly that he lacked the basic infrastructure to keep it going and ended up racing towards his death. I had the opposite issue where I'd take my time with everything, but then suddenly my algae supply would be completely depleted and my oxygen would quickly follow suit. It became clear that like in real life, we were stronger together, and so we created a world that we worked on as a team.
Oh, dig. I'm sorry. Dig order?
You're like, I'm telling you to dig, damn it.
You know what? Now that I'm looking at it, that's probably not where you want to dig.
It's alarming to me the things that would fly straight over my boyfriend's head if I wasn't there to keep an eye on him. A colonist could die face down in the middle of his kitchen and he wouldn't have a clue. 20 minutes will go by and then suddenly he'll be like, what the hell happened to Scott's tot?
Where is he? Where the hell is Andy? Where is he, Pam?
I like to name the duplicates after us. We get a lot more than just the ones we start with though. Obviously the first one gets to be named after our cat, but after that it's kind of a free-for-all.
His stress reaction is vomiting. This is Jack. This is our cat.
We used to name them after our friends, but it was really traumatic when one would die, and I think my boyfriend got sick of all the elaborate funerals we held. Do you want to say a few words first, or should I?
I'll start.
Okay.
Choice was one of us. He was a good dupe and a good friend.
I tend to grow attached to our colonists, and in a way, I feel like a daycare instructor looking after a bunch of toddlers all hell-bent on suffocating on chlorine gas. These little guys are cute, but they're also idiots. Noiki? Noiki? Oh my god, Noiki just fell in the water. Okay. Save Noiki. Their tiny, fragile fates are in our hands, and it turns out that's a lot more responsibility than a cat. Keeping the stress level down is crucial for enjoying an evening in Oxygen Not Included, and I don't just mean the colonists. It's true that if the colonists start getting stressed out, they find the nearest piece of machinery and start beating the hell out of it. I'm not sure how or why, but it always seems like the algae deoxidizers are the first things to go down, and your stress isn't really gonna go down if you don't have breathable air, guys.
Are you done breaking shit? Oh, no, okay.
Oh my god, she's on a rampage.
There goes the hamster wheel. Great. He's still running on it. She's breaking it.
Jesus Christ, these guys are giving me gray hairs. Anyhow, if it's not the duplicates getting stressed, it's the two of us, because as I said a couple of times already, they are idiots. You can't rely on them to do anything, and that'll lead to some very stressful moments where they'll drop everything they're doing and have a snack, and somehow cause the whole colony to fall apart.
Look at this mess. How did this happen?
I cleaned this morning.
All right, fine. I'll clean. You guys go to the store.
Of the handful of overlays that Oxygen Not Included offers you, the priority chart gives me the most anxiety. Basically, you can organize things at different priorities and your duplicates will work down from the highest priority task to the lowest. In theory, this shouldn't be a big deal, but I happen to be dating a super impatient boyfriend. Whenever he gets a new idea for design, he wants it done ASAP as possible and will set it to priority 9. It doesn't take long for the overlay to go from looking like this to looking like this. As the saying goes, when everything's a priority 9, nothing's a priority 9. Our poor little alien ant farm is so preoccupied with all his crazy plans that the toilets are clogged, food is out, and oxygen is completely depleted.
Insufficient oxygen generation. I mean, it's on my to-do list, okay?
What's even worse is when there's a real emergency and someone is at risk of dying, everyone is too preoccupied with all these odd jobs to stop and help. The colony's in a pretty sorry state when people lose their lives because mopping the floor was more important.
When did Terran die?
What? You don't need an engineering or physics degree to play this game, but you might need one to be good at it. There are a lot of little details to keep up with, and there needs to be some degree of forethought put into how you build things. We both have played countless worlds, and to this day have yet to make it deep enough to find lava. This game loosely follows physics. So for example, CO2 weighs more than oxygen, so it usually sinks to the bottom while all the breathable air floats to the top. Simple enough. The bedrooms go up top and the farms go at the bottom. Except heat rises, so our plants are freezing and the little guys can't sleep because it's too hot. I don't know why, but I find this incredibly fun.
Okay, with the removal of these blocks, we've officially extended the deadline for figuring out what to do with all this shit.
We can never make it past the mid-game for some reason. It's smooth sailing for the first couple hours, but at some point it feels like we're just jumping from crisis to crisis with band-aid fixes trying to hold everyone together. It's hard not to just look at the heaping mess of a colony we built and just decide to start over, but do it right this time.
Why don't we go ahead and dig out some of this copper, gentlemen and Taryn? Beautiful, they're getting to work. Jack, you okay? You don't feel like working? Okay, you know what? That's fine, don't build anything.
Maybe I'm a little hypersensitive coming off a global pandemic, but I feel like I'm constantly opening the germ overlay to make sure no one tracked anything into our otherwise sanitary base. All it takes is one of these little goobers brushing up against the wrong slime block, and next thing you know, the whole colony is locked up in the infirmary, wheezing with slime lung.
So Taryn didn't wash her hands.
That would not happen in real life.
So now everyone is covered in germs.
In the same vein, I'm constantly on my boyfriend's case about treating the water for food poisoning. I don't know how many times I've caught him treating the water for pollution, but then piping it straight back into our main supply full of germs. Are you sure this is safe to drink?
Sir, are you aware that there is waste in your water system?
It's hard to get too upset with him for being reluctant about boiling the water before drinking it. Temperature is the real killer for us. Turns out having a bunch of people running on a hamster wheel for 8 hours a day generates a lot of body heat. We built a cooling system, but ironically it kept overheating. Every game ends with heat death in one way or another. Either we dig too deep and let the heat from down below seep into our base, or we decide it's a good idea to pump piping hot steam geyser water into our bathrooms. It's always sad to watch our little colonists bake alive in the coffin we built for them, but it's a lot easier than having to watch them suffocate.